Opo! Yon! We're live again for another episode of HR Shouts and Whispers. We are now at episode number 73, and our topic for tonight is, are you sinking or soaring? Siyempre, my name is Ken Somera, and our main host, Cristina Reclamado. Hi, Chris.
Hi, Ken. Good evening to you. How is
Yeah,
your week?
siyempre. Lively, as usual. Always lively and fun.
Okay, so we've been receiving a lot of questions, especially from job applicants. Okay, and whether to accept a job offer or not, when's the right time to look for a company, and whether and then talk. They've been asking about burnout. Okay, so we decided. So we've been talking about this. In fact, our first episode, I think, Ken, was about burnout.
Yeah,
Okay.
burnout and stress. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So that's how we started. That was like last October before the pandemic. Anyhow, okay, we've invited someone, okay, and you're going to really appreciate his insights this evening because he's the author of, actually, he's an author of many books, but I have with me two of his books. That's Your Career Roadmap and then Soaring High. Okay, so uh, we're going to raffle this to our question posters or commenters. But okay, so without further ado, okay, let's welcome our guest, Mr. Nelson D. Hi, Nelson.
Hello, Chris, and hello, Ken. Thank you for inviting me. It's great for me to be here.
So, how's your Saturday?
It's busy as usual, as you mentioned a while ago. Look, it looks like that there's no such thing now as a rest day. We have to keep the Sabbath holy, but duty calls, so we have to work whenever we can.
Okay, so how about Ken? Ken, have you received questions from our members this week? Because I
Uh,
think,
Yeah, more on actually more on anxiety, but then depression. Yeah,
mm.
most of that stress, some relationship. Yeah, still
So
same.
actually, yes. We've been receiving questions because actually this is the season, Nelson. You know that last year, around the last quarter of the year. So, of course, we do know that there were a lot of layoffs and terminations that happened. So, this season, this first quarter, people are starting to gear up and also apply for new jobs, parang starting anew. Okay. So, I do hope. So, our questions mostly are, well, how to look for the best company now during the pandemic. But before that, let me ask you this question. Okay, so I do know that you have a corporate job, but how did you start writing books?
Actually, I've been writing even before I started my first job. So when I was young, I wanted to be a journalist, and I had my own share of journals and unpublished books. Then, when I got married to the wonderful Lucy Cheng Di, we found a publisher because she saw all those journals gathering dust. And that led to my first book way back in, I believe, 2004. And since then, I've written 10 more. And three of them, as you can see here, would be career oriented, soaring high, career roadmap, and your first job.
Yeah, so I did read Soaring High for 2 weeks now. Okay, and then I like it because well, it's so organized. So and then actually it's like a seminar in a book. So and also it's carefully edited, and you have this nuggets of wisdom like course correction, etc. So anyhow, so what was the most frequently asked? You've been doing speaking engagements as well, and for millennials, have you been? What was the most commonly asked question by millennials?
The most common question is how do I get the most out of life? Because, for example, when you're in college, everything is programmed already for you. I think you know that there's a curriculum, there's exam, there's a routine. When you're out there in the real world, the structure is not there. So now it's like you have to figure out on your own what makes life tick. How do I know the correct decisions? No answer is given to you in a silver platter. So millennials would ask for guidance that how will I make the best decisions for this one or that one? And that's why also I like the millennials thinking that they are also after sources of wisdom, whether it's peers or trusted elders. And that's where hopefully the books will come in.
Well, I guess I'm able to compare. I'm a Gen Xer, and I'm able to compare my mindset with millennials. And had I wish we had your books when I graduated, okay? Because at that time as well, yes, you're correct. When I graduated, suddenly I was programmed to actually go to classes and then do exams. And then when I graduated, suddenly that routine disappeared, and I was left with nothing. But as I told you, I was everywhere during my first year out of college. I was actually producing AVPs, and I was doing a lot. I was meeting a lot of people. And how would you compare millennials from the previous generation? Maybe Gen Xers or Gen Y people.
It's very interesting because this is a scoop, because my next book is co-authored with a millennial. So I represent the boomer, she represents the millennial, and we sort of make comparisons how each generation views things, including let's say relationship, social
Mhm.
media, and yes, career. And one of the things that rose from the conversation, and I think she has a point. We boomers, we value stability. Just give us a 9 to 5 job, to give us the benefits, we'll be faithful to you, we'll work hard, and then we retire well off. Whereas I believe the millennials, we value flexibility, they value flexibility. So that's why they're more adventurous. They're more into gigs and freelancing. And there's a nice interplay of that one because each one has their own pros and cons. So I think that's an interesting mix about my generation and then the current generation.
Well, you know, they have a misconception about Gen Xers. Okay, so because we actually existed at a time, they said that we were the rebellious, angry ones. Okay, so I don't know. I actually don't know if I'm an angry person, but uh, actually, there are by this time, okay, the Gen Xers are in their mid 40s. So,
Mm.
okay, so but we are also trying to adopt the ways of millennials because we want to be more agile, okay? Because, well, it's actually a very unpredictable environment. And of course, you need to upskill and then you unlearn bad habits and then learn new skills to be able to cope and be competitive. So let's call in the eldest of the millennials. Okay, hi Ken, are you back?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, yeah. I'm here.
the eldest of the millennials.
80,
Oh
80.
yeah,
I think 83. Yeah,
Hmm?
83.
Si Ken nandun siya eh, ano siya eh, nandun siya sa ano,
borderline.
parang kumapit siya dun sa ano eh, sa millennial.
Pasok pa. Yeah.
Pasok ka pa. Oo. Well, I celebrated my birthday, January 23rd. Okay. So
Oh,
when people ask me, oh, I'm 47 years old. Okay. So I actually say it to the public. Okay. I'm not hiding it. Anyway, so that's like an interesting point of view. So each generation has their own mindset. But Ken, a lot of people are trying to adopt to the unpredictability of the environment. So
Mhm.
what can you say? Okay. Ano
Yep.
yung tinatanong niya nila sa'yo?
More of the questions kasi is like it depends sa age, right? There are like a lot of people in their mid around 25 to around early 30s. They're asking me what I don't know my direction in life. I don't know my skill set. I don't know what to do
mm,
specifically. It's more of a lack in clarity. Some clients have this thing about shiny objects. They have lots of things that they want in life to the point that they don't know what to actually focus on or prioritize on. Right? So they're like each client that we get to talk to is like really different, really different. So I it's hard for me to say that it's dependent on age, because sometimes a younger person would ask the same questions. Sometimes an older person would ask the same questions. So probably it it's about the times that we're facing right now, because a lot of people think that there are less opportunities, but in reality, actually, if you work with finding more skill set that adapts with the time right now, there are lots of opportunities there. Mm.
Yes, there was also a point that I was like actually shaken because, well, yeah, last year was really, really, I would just say heinously unpredictable. Okay, heinously unpredictable. And there was a point that well I my husband we're a husband and wife team, and we were thinking, oh, what will we do next, okay, after this. Okay, so anyway, amidst the chaos, we were able to also find a way to pivot. Okay, and hopefully we are in the right direction. Anyhow, okay, so speaking of unpredictability, okay, we will welcome one of the moderators. Okay, we'll welcome him to the discussion. Okay, hi Mr.
Hi.
Benjamin Peruncio. Okay, our resident professor from St. Paul.
Hello,
Okay.
Ben. Pleasure to meet you.
Yes, a pleasure to meet you too, sir.
Gandang gabi, Benj. Welcome again.
Yes. So yeah, because actually before we went live. Okay, so Bench was actually being called. I think he had a meeting and then it was canceled. So that's how unpredictable Saturdays are. So so Bench, well, among your students, okay, so you handle graduating students, okay, and of course they are at the point of preparing for the corporate world or looking for a job. What are common questions that they ask you? I'm sure they're looking for advice, and when they ask you, well, what do they ask you?
Okay. They ask me about usually what are the particular skills that are in demand, especially the hard skills in the IT sector, like will certifications boost their chances at landing a job? And also they would ask me something like a glass door kind of question. Okay ba magtrabaho dyan? Okay. And then among others, do we have a place there? This particular reputable tech workplace is full of um, people from LaSalle, from
Mm.
Mapua, and what other have you. Uh, do I have a place there? We're not known. Uh, so and there is one particular instance. Yung dean's lister namin hindi nga natanggap, kami pa kaya. So there was that a discouragement. And I said, no, you try anyway. Kung wala ka doon, then maybe you're cut out for something else. So they asked me about their fit in the industry. Yun.
Okay, well, ask Nelson. Okay, so if we're a new graduate, okay, so first of all, because I was like, when I graduated, I had a professor who told me, okay, so when you graduate, you forget everything that you learned in college. Okay, so so that's what he said. So, but how will we know that this company is a good company? Okay, so first let's try to look for a good company. So what are descriptions or descriptors of a good company?
So actually, your statement is quite familiar because I studied chemical engineering, and I spent sleepless nights mastering differential equations and calculus. And lo and behold, in my first job at the plant, nothing was used there. As probably 90% of what I studied in college but it's not usable because it's more like practical and it's more like dealing with people. So it's like one of those things that I spent 4 or 5 years for this. What's going on? So anyway, to answer your question, what will be the right company to work in? I think a more strategic question is what is your life purpose? Because if you don't know your life purpose, you don't know your work purpose, and then that's where will be what will be the company that will support your work and life purpose. So we have to take a step back. So it's like, how do you see yourself? What do you envision yourself in life? Who do you think you are? And then you also get part of the skill set because but that's only part of it. It also has to do with your passions, your aspiration, maybe your pain points. And when you have that, you have an idea of what you want to do. And therefore, you find a company that best expresses who you are and then also will harness your talents and your skills. So it's like putting the cart before the horse. What's the best company? No, 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 no. First, find out who you are. What's going to be the best self that I can be? Then go forward. You are in control, not the circumstance in control. So, for example, in my case, I studied engineering. Why did I choose engineering? I said I wanted to be a journalist, right? Why shift from journalism to engineering? Because I realized something that I have the talent. I love numbers. I'm a nerd. Okay, I love numbers, and that's why also I love science. So there's that passion. Then I realized something that engineers are the bridge between the scientists and the business people. So I see myself as a builder for a more prosperous tomorrow. That's my identity. And because of that, I entered engineering and I was looking for the company that will help me do that. What will be the company? And have, I was privileged to have great companies to work for. And these are the ones we're in. They're not just after making stuff, they're after making stuff that makes people's lives better or more efficient. And that gives me certain fulfillment. And I found my right company. And the same principle can be for your audience. You have to find out first what's your purpose in life, what's your identity, and then look for that company that will be appropriate for that. The reason why so many people are lost, bored, or miserable, or even burnout is because they're in jobs that do not answer their deepest aspirations. And because of that, they get lost. And heaven forbid, they would then, go around the years and then they will be in mid-age, they have their midlife crisis, and then they have a life full of regrets. So while you're young, it's perfect while you're young and mobile and hopefully single, start your journey towards yourself, find out who you are, what do you want in life, and then find out from there your ideal career.
Wow. So actually, this is like also like what other our other guests have been talking about. Okay, it's not really like is it the is it the salary? Is it the is it a multinational company? Okay, what kind of experience will I get from a small company? It's not like that. It's about something that's like deeper in you. Okay, and then something because when you start there it's something that, well, even if you're tired, okay, you will still keep on doing the job because the motivation is deeper and something from within. When I was a reporter, actually, I started as a news writer. Okay, and then, we would wake up at 5 a.m. We would be at our office at Jamboree Street. That was the GMA because it was a sister company of GMA 7. I was with CityNet. It's now not operational. Okay, but we would wake up at 5 a.m. So we're still like sleepy, and then we would be writing for the news. Okay, and then my boss there at that time said, kahit ilagay mo yung mga tao ko sa island, they will still write because it's their passion. Okay, so I think that's what it is. Okay, but however, for me, it wasn't my passion pala because I thought it was my passion, and then somewhere along the way, later in life, I found something better. Okay, I think I was a better HR person. Okay, than a writer. I envisioned kasi myself as a more of a communicator. In fact, my past jobs, I was like more of the spokesperson of the boss. Yung pagka may meeting, ako yung nagwe-welcome doon sa mga guests. We will talk and then my boss will just be in the office. And then after that, he would just come out, and then he would probably have the final contract or the deal, and that's how we did business. Okay, so I had a lot of jobs, but this was my marketing life. Okay, and then yun, as I told you, I was such a job hopper before. Okay, so okay lang yung job hopping, but somewhere, okay, when you're serious na, you get to settle in a job, and then you will see that this job is something that you can do even if you're old and gray. So that's how it was for me. How about Benj? How did you know that you would be a professor or a teacher?
Okay, actually, I didn't. um, maybe early on, even when I was in college, I have this tendency for coaching. So just to let you in, when I was younger, when I was in my teens, transitioning to college, um, I was giving swimming lessons to kids. I was part of a team, and then as a side job or as a summer job, I started teaching swimming, thinking that I suppose this would make a difference and would earn me something also for the summer. Yeah, na-motivate ako. Alam ko meron ako noon, alam ko magugustuhan nila, sana magustuhan nila yung teaching method ko, and then alam ko may kita. Uh, those were the motivators. And then and when I was in college, I was asked by one of my professors, one who teaches in English and also law, and she told me, you'd make a good campus journalist. So sige,
Wow.
I ride on. Okay. Eventually, I dabbled into web design, kahit crude. Basta let's get this article into the web. Basa-basa ako ng books, simple how-tos, and I got to publish. I was a student assistant in Don Bosco Technical College's computer lab, and then I talked to my superior there and said, I asked permission. Um, I coded this in HTML version 1. I gave him the article and then it got published. And then I got the hang of it. So sabi ko, sige, turo ko to. Anything that made a difference in my life, I thought, if it can make a difference in yours too, sige, turo ko to. And then I had conversations with my dad, and my father said he likes people having their early starts in life,
Mm.
being productive, having an edge, and that's what really egged me on into teaching na. Let's start giving them an edge. Let's start seeing them kumikita na maaga, contributing to the coffers of the government, contribution sila to SSS. So the earlier they do it, the better they get at it. Sige, the more of them that we get into their careers, the more I sort of felt rewarded. And that's when I began teaching makes a difference, and it's true. Human resources really are uh, the assets of the Philippines. We have a lot of it. And I could only imagine, what if lahat sila educated properly, appreciating what they have, applying it now? What difference would it make? Yeah, yun. And I've been hooked ever since.
Actually, when we started off sa careers that I don't know, I remember the feeling actually of in more of butterflies in my stomach when I graduated, because yes, I'm out of this, I'm out of the prison, I'm out of school. Okay, okay, and then I'm going to find work, and then I listed down a lot of actually movie outfits, okay, movie production companies that I wanted to apply. Okay. And then nakuha ako, hindi ako nakuha sa mga movie production outfits, nakuha ko as a reporter. Okay. Kasi when I accompanied my friend to her audition, nakita ako and then they made me read the news. And back then, ang corny ng start ko. I was not even in corporate attire. I was wearing shorts. And I went to the office with my friend. I just accompanied her because it was one afternoon. I didn't have anything to do. And then she read the news. And then somebody, the PA said, kayo mag read the news then. And then they placed me in front of the camera. And then I read the news. And then after that, uh, this was this was a weird way to do recruitment because after waiting for 5 hours, parang tinawag ako, pero yung friend ko hindi tinawag. And that's how, pero we're still friends nung ano ko, nung kasama ko. Okay, pero that's how it was for me. So that it was ironic that I didn't get into a movie production outfit. I actually was hired from with the TV station. So yun. So it's just like a wonderful feeling when you graduate. So Nelson will greet our viewers. Okay, they were here early. And then I'll just greet uh, Angelique Dohelio. Okay, she was one of the early commenters. Okay, so Angelique, okay, so you get in touch with me after the FB Live. You will get one of Nelson's books. Yay! Okay. And then there's another one. Okay. Uh, I see her and she used to go to my workshops as well. Okay. So Jelly Navarro. Okay. So you will get also a copy of Nelson's book. So get in touch with me after the FB Live. And then after this, okay, there is another book here. It's actually also one of Nelson's books. Okay, it's Regret No More. Okay, so I was reading this and I was also meditating. So those who can type, who can answer a question from Nelson at this time. So Nelson, do you have a question? Just like a one-word answer would do, and that person will get a copy of his book, Regret No More. What's your question, Nelson?
One question for you.
For the viewers.
Let me
So
see now.
Mhm.
What would be the thing that you regret the most?
So what is the thing that you regret the most? Okay, the first person to type in their answers will get a copy of this book.
That'll be interesting.
So type in your answers. I'm waiting for it. Okay. So Angelique says, thank you, Nelson. Okay. Thank you in
You're
advance.
welcome. Enjoy the
Okay.
book.
And then Jelly said, thank you, Paul. Okay.
You're welcome also.
So let's see if they will type in what is the thing that they regret the most. Okay. And then that is in line with the title of the third book that we are giving out this evening. Okay, so now moving forward, so I enjoyed your stories in Soaring High. So may I ask you, okay, for people who hate their jobs, okay,
Yeah.
how do they get to love the job that they hate, Nelson?
Well, I had my own share of nightmare jobs and horrible bosses. Tell me to one day, talk about my boss. That there was a time that I slaved over this report and I gave it to my boss, and the boss just threw it to the floor. So one of those things, I hate that at job, and I hated being there. And actually, the thing is that you have several choices. One would be like you will choose to love that job you hate. The other would be proud to see it in a brand new light. The other one is probably to simply be grateful for it. And last but not least, sort of grit your teeth, but hopefully better times will come. Let me unpack the four basic strategies. Sometimes that when we hate, okay, it's the concept of grace, for example. When there's an enemy, I'm tempted to hate him or her, But the concept of grace is that no, I'll extend goodness to you, love for you. The same thing can be probably translated to a job. So this may be something nothing to be happy about, but I choose to love it. So that's one. The other one would be you reframe it. So for example, if you hate this job because it's boring, it's beneath me. But what if you see a certain mission inside it? Remember, life purpose. For example, you may be in selling and you dread making cold calls and you hate rejection. But what if you're on a mission because you believe the products you sell will improve, let's say, the health of your client or help them become more productive or happier? So if you have that new vision of your job, and hopefully the love will grow. The first thing I mentioned is that you may want to be grateful about it because remember, this is the pandemic. Businesses are shutting down. People are losing their job. And therefore, when I look at it, what's my alternative? If I'm unhappy with the job I have now, try unemployment. And because of that, I can be more grateful. And what I learned is that gratitude will be the second cousin of joy. If those strategies fail, then you may want to just endure it for a while. But here's the other tip I will give you. Have an exit strategy. If despite all your best efforts, you cannot find yourself to love the job, then do an exit strategy wherein you'll be able to have a transition to the job that you love. But there's a warning. If the reason why you hate your job is inside of you, you must deal with it. Otherwise, no matter what other job you go to, it'll still be around and you'll find yourself hating the next job, the next job, the next job. So it's a multifaceted approach, but basically you may want to choose to love the job that you would normally hate.
So it's actually related to what you said earlier, Nelson. Like you're starting like asking yourself what you want to do, your passion, etc. And if you don't, I think if you don't go through that process, it's like a cycle of just going from one job to the other, and then you're just like, this is what you call job hopping talaga. Okay, you resign from this job and then you go to the next, and then you see things because you're already of a certain frame of mind, then you will always see the negative in that next company. So I think it's asking yourself really what you want to do. That's why when I get questions, during August, September last year, there were a lot of people who gave me their private mess, who PM'd me, and then asked me if is it time for them to resign because they really hate their company and they hate the HR of their company, actually. Okay, they would say that. That's why I don't really reveal their identity, because when they PM me, they really say that I hate the HR and etc. etc. Nobody listens to me, and I think I will just resign. And then I actually told them to really, first is, if you really need, if you're in that job because you're somebody who's the breadwinner of the company or of the family, or your family like gets a certain, gets a certain aid from you, then maybe you should think twice. However, if you can afford to, to be out of a job for 3 months or 6 months even, then I think go for it. Okay. Get out. Okay. So that's the first consideration for me. Okay. When I answer their questions. The second is, if I always ask them, if you're out of that company, where will you go? And if you're still going to go to another call center company or a similar company, then why don't you just stay? Because it's the same mechanics. It's the same operation. Okay, your boss or the line manager, the team leader, would always look at your statistic, your AHT, okay, your stats, and then they would always nag you for not doing this certain SOP, etc. So that's what I say. So they have to really look. I mean, really soul search before they get out of a company.
Yeah, and I remember this story about a friend. He hated this boss, and this resonates with you. He hated this boss. He was working for this particular firm, and he told me, Nelson, I hate my job. Why don't I resign and we magnegosyo tayo? We do business together. And I was telling him, no, because then you'll be trading your one boss with 1,000 bosses. That's your customers. So it's like from the pan to the frying to the fire. So it's like, yeah, it's like the other thing we have to remember is that we do not make major decisions when we're emotionally distressed. So you hate your job, you hate your boss. I just resigned. And I think that's one of the poor times to make such a decision. The other thing I would also advise people is that if you see no opportunities in the particular department you're in, maybe within the same company, there's the opportunity you would like to be in. So look around inside rather than just jump ship right away.
Yes. So, Benj, how about your former students? Okay, so I'm sure that there are those that already are in the workforce, and then I do know that you still talk to them.
Yeah. Yeah, I still talk to them, and I have two kinds of students. There are those who really lived up to practicing their profession. So when they uh, started and then graduated with their IT degrees, business degrees, accounting degrees, um, they actually became CPAs. There were those who started out as employees and became entrepreneurs eventually, and then there are the IT people who are now occupying senior positions. So 10 years later, na I'm happy for them that for me it was like time well spent. Okay, great, great. Now there are those who pursued other paths. Like for example, they took up information technology (IT) or information management, and then they ended up in uh, uh, real estate. They're selling property. So on the one hand, merong isa naging doctor. Actually, one became a pilot. I have one already studying. Hopefully, he'll become an attorney after law school. Um, it's their some of them actually disclose na sorry sir and not my cup of tea. And naging doktora siya, naging ano. Um, for me, I'm just as happy for them. At first, I was thinking, could I have spent this much time only to see them uh, not really live up to what they studied? But then again, courses and careers, they don't define the entirety of us. What matters is um, they had a takeaway nonetheless. Oh, you bring your IT with you and then pursue whatever else in real property or in being an OB gynecologist. So, nandun pa rin yun. And then, ako kasi, it's not only the course they take with them, they take with them skills, they take with them values, especially growing up in Catholic schools. So, so right now, I think the one who studied medicine is happy with her job. Um, I'm not sure if she's practicing as a frontliner right now. The pilot is still flying. Wala pa naman bumabagsak and good. Um, I'm hoping for that one na ano, sige, I'll pray for him pumasa na siya sa law school. We need IT
Oh,
lawyers. Yeah, the I'm hoping na ano na there would be such thing as career alchemy. Maybe you bring your IT with you, finish your law school, and then there is this career alchemy, career combination waiting for you, and then you place your own trail. Uh, yeah, sige lang.
Well, it's actually IT and law. I think that would be a good addition to their fold because we're into e-commerce, and yet our e-commerce laws are, it's not really that advanced yet. Okay, so
Yes, it
so
may yet mature.
yeah, it's not at that level
yeah.
yet. So
Yeah, that's one way to stand out. Sorry, that's one way to stand out. There's this book by, I think, Robert Greene in his book Mastery. And if you want to stand out, You may want to master two fields and then make them into one field that is where you are the one who's the expert. You're the only one who knows, and they'll be able to be the one to command the prize. So that's one. That's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
that's why I think one of the things we are learning from this conversation is that we talk about finding a purpose, finding a career, and I think it's like the process is very fluid. And like you, for example, you came from film, you went to HR, and you are a swimming coach, you went to teaching. So it's like you'll never know what the next chapter will be like, but it's going to be a happy accident. And as long as you use your skills, you're happy and you're helping people in society. I think that's already a big success.
I like that. A happy accident. You
Yes,
Well,
never
happy
know.
accident. We all are. Actually.
well,
We all
that's
are.
like
I
that's a
think it's
product.
fair.
Yes. So I was
Yeah,
going to
sorry,
say
one
that's
more
a
thing.
product
I
of
think
our
it's rare.
exploration or adventure.
Yeah,
Okay, yes. And
I
Nelson,
think
you were
it's
saying.
rare. Sorry about that. I think it's rare. And I think it's also where we have to tell our audience that you may think that, I have my career plan out already for the next, my 2-year plan, 5-year plan, 10-year plan, and then there's no such thing. And I think we have to tell our audience is that it's okay to experiment. You'll never know what's going to happen next. And like I said, it's like everything's a series of finding yourself and a happy accident where the opportunity comes in and you grab the opportunity and if it's going to make you happy and productive.
Yes. So it's actually parang ano yung self-realization and actualization and then, kasi actually what we were taught, I don't know what frame of, what school of thought that was, okay, but there was this point that when we were younger, okay, they said to plan your career and then you stick with that plan. I forgot from which book I read that, okay? But it doesn't really happen like that anymore because I think as this as the circumstances have pointed out, okay, the pandemic, things change, okay, and then you have to have your yun nga backup plan, okay, plan A, plan B, plan C, okay, in life. Okay, so I think that's one of the lessons of the pandemic as well. So Nelson will greet somebody. Okay. He's all the way from Canada. Okay. He used to be one of my trainees. Okay. So hi, Jehan Ruth Dinorog. Okay. So he used to be one of my trainees. So he's watching all the way from Canada. And he's asking, okay, so how can you ask for better pay? How can you negotiate for a
Oh,
higher salary?
is that for me or the professor?
Okay, maybe we can have our own, our each of us can offer an insight to Jehan. Okay, we'll start with the one in white because we're all wearing dark. Okay. Okay, so Benj, how about you? Okay, how can you ask for a higher salary? How do you negotiate for a higher salary?
Oh, I couldn't recall the last time I actually asked for a hire. But if I may advise those who would like to try, and you're free to try. Um, you begin asking for a higher salary when you've met the basics. So what is the baseline that is required of your job, where you are? So you make a checklist. Um, like for example, if they say strong communication skills, how strong is strong? So if you think this is strong and you've met it, sige, check. Um, one more learning, two more learnings in a year, sige, check. And then you approach uh, your HR, and then you ask what are the mechanisms for re-ranking, for because I work in schools eh. I work in large organizations in the past na they have ranking tools. So there was a point, yeah, I remember na ang tagal na siguro. I approached the HR and asked na what does it take to get re-ranked? And then the output of that was nare-rank ako ng point 2 steps higher. Tapos ang increase ko was something like 400 pesos, and that was a long time ago. at least I was re-ranked. So I was given a checklist. So if you don't have that, for example, that access to a checklist, and your company does not practice ranking tools, then you
Mhm.
set your own. You set your own. You assess yourself on how good at you at setting your own goals and actually committing to them and actually achieving them. And then if you think you are consistent with yourself in achieving goals you yourself set, then go ahead and approach your HR. What does it take? What do I need to do uh, to get re-rank? And then also, if not the HR, approach your immediate superior. So your immediate superior, well, you have to establish the trust, and if you do trust each other and wala ka namang offenses, you perform good. Uh, Bring up the possibility na what does it take? What else will it take from me?
So thank you,
Yeah,
Benj. Okay, so
welcome.
I'll answer it so that the final answer will be from Nelson. Okay, so ako kasi my parents actually when I was little, my parents actually instilled a mindset sa akin not to depend on employment for a salary. Okay,
Mhm.
so they actually told me, okay, to have don't put your eggs all in one basket. So that's what they said. So you can be serious with one. So there's a revenue stream coming from your regular employment. Okay, that's how they described it. And then you have your other businesses, like a small business of your own. Okay. Kasi, you graduated, you're young, then you can still commit all the mistakes. Okay. And then somehow when you're in your 30s, you kind of like, parang settle into something that's less risky. Parang that's how they explained it. So I had my employment and then I had my small businesses. Okay. So I was like, and I also had my sideline. Okay. So I was also a dubber, a voice, I was a voice actor. I was dubbing, okay, a lot. I mean, there was like two sexy actresses that I was dubbing for. Okay. So, secret kung sino yun. Okay. So, actually, madami akong racket nun. Okay. But there's somehow when you start reaching your 30s, you become serious, you concentrate on your, kumbaga, yun na yung passion mo, yun na yung focus mo. That's why, actually, it took me some time to ask for a raise, okay, from my employment. But the way I did it, I studied all the HR principles, and then I said, I also used bench, the terminologies of Benji. Okay, so can you analyze my job? It seems like I'm doing a lot of things. So I wasn't the HR, I was the admin, and I was in operations. So I went to the HR. Can you study my job? Okay. Seems like I'm doing a lot of things, but you're not paying me well. So that's how I really said it because the HR was my friend. Okay. So anyway, when um, there was an opportunity that came, I actually siniksik ko yung sarili ko doon sa job evaluation team. Okay. And I actually provided the expertise, yung job analysis, okay, yung job ranking, okay. And then we did some benchmarking with the other companies, okay. And then that's how I was able to get my increase. And it wasn't like the 2,000 pesos, it wasn't 5,000 pesos. It was double my present salary. So, kaya ang sabi ko, naghintay ako ng matagal, maganda din yung rewards kasi I studied the terms and then I tried to get into the mind of how HR people would do it. Because at that time, I was from operations. I didn't fight them. I used their language. So that's how I asked for an increase. So let's give the floor to Nelson.
I love this discussion. And by the way, Professor, as long as walang DA, no, disciplinary action, pwede na.
Mhm.
Okay. And then, okay, yes, I love the concept wherein you look at the conditions by which a merit increase is given to you. The thing we have to remember is what if the boss turns you down for some reason and you may be disappointed. So I have several advice for that one. When you do have your desire to have a pay raise, of course you strategize like what Chris said, find out the conditions by which you'll get it and make sure you get it. The other thing is that you have to be sure that you know the overall story because you have to see from your boss point of view. Because many times when we ask for a salary, we know what we want, and this is our argument. But you have to be aware that the boss may have another point of view. Let's say the company's not doing well, or let's say, yeah, you are doing well, but it's in the wrong metrics. So you have to find out the boss point of view, and that will save you a lot of pain and embarrassment later on. But my number one recommendation in how to get a pay raise is this: you do some of your boss's job, because likely you are going to be paid more because you have higher responsibility, and that's more of the promotional benefits. So find out what you can do for your boss, tackle some of your boss responsibility, and then what happens? You're doing more than your job description. You're, let's say, giving the extra mile. You're going beyond, you're delivering more than expected. You save the company money, you streamline the process, that sort of thing, and you do your boss job, especially if it's more strategic or leadership. When that happens, it will be an argument that cannot be contested. You do deserve the raise because you do deserve to be on the next level. And these are the results that speak for themselves.
So, it's actually more of ano, tingnan muna natin yung point of view ng paghihingian natin ng raise, okay? Whether it's the HR or the boss, okay? And also, we have to be open to the possibility that we will be turned down. That's the reason for my plan B. Okay, it will not depend on my regular employment. Okay.
Side hustle.
Side hustle. Well, actually, because if you think about it, yeah, right now, okay, we have a lot of millennials. Okay, so they have a regular job, and then they have side hustles. So that's how that's. I have a lot of millennial friends. Okay, so I asked them, so how are you? How can you afford your rent? Okay, with a BGC condo. So that's how we talk. Okay, and they said that yes, because of my side hustle. Actually, their side hustles earn them more than their regular
Mm,
employee. So,
yeah,
kasi
can happen.
sigurista sila, they're learning from the previous generation as well. That, yeah, not to depend on one income stream. Yun yung sinasabi. So, I hope that answers your question, Jehan. Okay, so number one, okay, you can ask it directly. Okay, kung talagang kating-kati ka na, okay, you've been there in your job for a long time, you can have a conversation with your boss. Wala namang masama. Okay. And then, but also know how they think and how they're deciding on budgets. Okay. Because that will depend on budgets. And at this time, where we have to contextualize it because at this time, it's the pandemic. A lot of businesses are also not earning well. So the likelihood of being turned down is high. So that's why I always say if you can't get it from uh, this nest, okay, you just have a side hustle. Okay. Yun, the sigurista approach in life. Okay. Now, anyway,
May I contribute one more thing?
mhm.
The other thing you may want to have is something that will provide passive income. Because when you are working for a salary or you have a side hustle that's active income, you're only as good as the sales you get. But what if part of your earning will go to some mechanism where real estate or whatever, wherein you are growing money, letting it work hard for you? That can be another thing for you.
Yeah, passive income. Actually, a lot of people have that's why they go to well, they have been vloggers, okay, and then they also went the TikTok way. Because I think I learned that that can also provide some sort of income. So let's see, okay, you're doing your hobby, Okay, you're also having fun. Okay, so that can be you can explore that. So there are a lot of means I mean, in this day and age of technology, there's internet. Yung panahon ko, wala ngang internet eh. Oh, nakakaya pa rin eh, na may side hustle. So, okay. If there are a lot of ways, okay, to have to actually have a steady source of income. Yon. So, let's see. Let's look at their comments. Okay. So, Jehan, okay. Unfortunately, you're in Canada. Where I said that our promo. I'll just give you free training, okay, if ever. Anyway, there's another comment here. Okay, so we'll give the book. So Nelson asked a question. Okay, but somebody actually typed his comment from Pat Reynoso. The journey starts with you. It's important to know our identity and purpose. So I think that was related to finding your passion and your career direction. So I like this quote actually. So I think he gets the third book, Regret No More.
May I also add something? There's
Mhm.
another book that I've written. This is the one. So is this all there is? So it's the purpose book. So the value of this is that not only does it give you ideas how to find your purpose, but also how to sustain it. The thing which I think we all see is that there are many starters but few finishers. So if you also want additional resource, this is the book I recommend. I wrote it to help people find their purpose in life.
So guys, okay, yeah, so you can check out
Yeah.
Nelson, your
Yeah.
website. It's nelson.com, nelsond.com. Is that correct?
NelsonTD.com.
Yes.
NelsonTD.com. I have a
Okay.
middle initial and yeah.
NelsonTD.com. Okay, so they can check out your books. Okay, actually, it's a lot. And I think that Nelson also has one that's, I think, for the broken-hearted people. So,
Well, if
okay,
this is for Valentine's Day, this can be
yeah.
if you are loveless and broken heart, this is the one.
How to mend
Yeah,
a
actually,
broken
I've
heart.
been broken hearted a lot. So there's a time that I just walked through our nice avenue in a pouring rain because I rather die of pneumonia rather than dying of a broken heart.
And then Lucy cured it.
Lucy's the one who solved my broken heart, and because of that, we have married 17 years, and what we have learned is distilled in this book, The Honeymoon Never Ends. So this is like the sequel
Wow.
to the broken heart. Yeah. I think there's one lesson here is that you may have a broken career, but things can heal and it's not the end of the road. And who knows, the broken part is stronger and you can be actually even more flourishing afterwards. And I think that's the thing we also appreciate in life.
Yes, that's a good point of view, Nelson, because a lot of people I see. I actually, when we have to go through last year, okay, a lot of people were really like writing us, and they were writing me, and also I think Bench was. I think people were writing Bench as well, being one of the moderators of HR Shouts, and Ken. So Ken, I think Ken received some PMs about well, they were very depressed given his field, neurolinguistic programming. So he had to offer free counseling as well to those people. So thank you for reminding us, okay, that careers can be healed, okay, and then you can, just pick up from where you left off, or you can start a new one and shift to a new one. So what about with job interviews? Okay, so what do you look for in a good candidate, Nelson? Being a boss yourself.
Okay. I've been in both sides of the interview table. So it's more interesting when I'm the interviewer because I run two factories. And of course, from time to time, I would have to have workers to interview or supervisors or even production heads. So the thing I actually look for in the candidate is whether he's done his homework. I think there's many stories we're in. he would ask me, what is your product? What do you do here? Hello, you should know about that before you talk to me. But if the guy comes to me and says, I know your process, and he give me the process. Okay, it may not be perfect, but it's close enough. I said, this guy has potential because he took the time, he cared enough to know my job, my factory, and the products we make. So he has the leg up over the other candidates who just hasn't, where they just being the interviews just to answer questions. The other thing I would look for in a candidate, aside from the initiative, which is proven by having done homework, is this. He would ask me about my pain points, what will be the problems I would like to solve, and he would offer himself as a solution. So it's like that. So these are things that I look for. I'm after people with initiative, with intelligence, and when you have that, chances are you have my blessing.
So it's not the usual like the candidate, because sometimes some candidates are parang they have this parang they're kind of like behave like they're entitled to the job. You have to get me because I showed up here, etc. So because I showed up, I'm qualified for the job, something like that. So they have to do their homework and know your company and how your company does its operations. How about
Yeah.
bench? Yes, Nelson, you were going to add?
If I may add, it's like the mindset of the interviewee should not be like, what can you, the employer, do for me, but rather, what can I do for you, the employer? And that is also where you have to display IQ, EQ, AQ, the adversarial quotient, and even CQ, creativity. If you show me these, it's not just here IQ, because there's a lot of smart people that cannot get along with people. They get bored, they jump ship. So if I see evidence of those traits, and especially the fact that I'm here to help you, Mr. Employer, that will be the thing that will likely clinch the deal for me.
Well, yeah, because actually, that's how well, I also interview people, and they're like, I don't know if because they're using English or they're speaking in English, they sound a little bit straightforward. Okay, so I interview them, I tell them about the company, and they would ask, so how much is it? That's how they would say, how much is the salary? And then and then I would explain, okay, how, well, what the benefits are, etc. And then they would just not add, they wouldn't even ask a question about the company. So we need a little bit of engagement to see that, well, you're interested in also, researching about our company. Okay. And then it's not just about the transaction of you getting a salary or you being employed in the company. How about bench? How do you coach your new soon to be graduates how to handle interviews?
Okay, how to handle interviews. Um, yeah, I've coached some, and they ask quite a lot about uh, how what should I say in order to pass. And this is what I tell them. Um, you have to be clear with yourself, who you are as a collection of values. You are a collection of values, of talents and skills, knowledge, uh, friendships, associations, etc., and maybe so much more. Now, um, when they ask when asked uh, what are the winning answers to job interviews, first I tell them, where are you applying anyway, and then I tell them what are they, what is their nature of business, and what are they looking for in terms of contributions, roles, job descriptions. And very often they would say that uh, most of the skills I can meet, most of the knowledge I already have. And these are some of those that I don't have or I don't have much of, and that's when they begin to be insecure. Kulang ako sa ganito. O kaya, if I take some certification exams, will it boost my chances? And then I told them, this is now that you have taken an inventory of who you are and what you have, and you know where you're strong and where you're weak, and if faced with a question, uh, you're weak at this and you might not be qualified, and then you offer them a clear direction of how you're going to fortify yourself. So walang perpekto. Um, walang perpektong job interviewee. We employers, we all shop for the best candidate, and the best candidate that doesn't have all the stars. But if you can mention your plan at achieving those stars, then you boost your chances at landing that job kahit may kulang sa iyo. Yun.
Okay. So thanks, Bench. Okay, so the uh actually it's more of like because you're selling yourself to the employer. Okay, so it's actually a two-way thing. Okay, it's a two-way tango. The
Both sides.
yeah, the employer, okay, the company is selling itself to the applicant, and the applicant is also trying to be attractive to the employer. So it's a tango. Okay, so that's why I keep on. We receive. I think we had a discussion this week. Okay, so for employers, your representatives, the one who are doing the interview, they should represent your companies well. Okay, so you have the HR. So the HR can only do so much. The HR can be welcoming, but the would-be supervisor is not. So I think that that will also not paint a good image to the candidate. So we're talking about this because, for example, you are a smaller company. It will be hard to compete with the bigger companies, because the bigger companies, of course, they've already threshed out their benefits, their packages, and then they're all over the place. Okay, they have job ads in job portals, they also have their billboards, etc. While smaller companies, so we only have our subscription to the job portals, and we also need to look attractive to the applicants. So let's take a look on how we're doing the interview process, and let's take it seriously. Well, I'll ask Nelson. Okay, so what would you advise HR professionals? So how can they retain their employees? Okay, during this time, because we cannot afford really to entice people with higher salaries because of the circumstances.
What we do, actually, I think there's many research wherein it will prove that you don't throw money at people so that they'll stay longer in the company. And I believe that studies show that psychic income, the satisfaction that comes from, let's say, being, you have the sense of being belonging, part of the company, you have a voice, you contribute to its success, you have a role, and especially if the company has this mission and it resonates to your mission also, then chances are you'll stay. It's not money because it'll be a bottomless pit, because then the question is how much more money, how much more money. What I do to retain my people is this. Whenever I have whether a new hire or an old timer, I would ask this one question: what makes you happy in your job? And then many times they'll say something like this: well, I love the fact that this gives me opportunities to learn new skills, for example, or I love the camaraderie with my workmates, or it makes me feel fulfilled as a provider, a breadwinner for my family. Not one person said that, well, it's the money. And of course, if you give me more money, I'll be happier. Well, I'm not naive. Maybe they don't want to say that, but they never say anything about money. So that gives you a clue. So it's more like psychic income. And so what happens, once I know their motivation, it's intrinsic, then I pull the correct levers. The guy who wants to learn, so I would talk to our L&D, we arrange for external training and help that guy shine even more. The other one would be, for example, when we have camaraderie, we have those team building, we have birthday bashes, or pre-pandemic, you have birthday bashes, or we have outings. Or, for example, if we now have the breadwinner concept, well, it's similar to what the professor said. You learn some more so you can earn some more. And then we have the job leveling program where you can now progress even more. Let's say operator 1 to operator 2, and then let's say supervisor level. So all these things now, and when they see that there's a future for them in that company, they stay.
So to our viewers, okay, so mostly our viewers are HR practitioners, okay. So this is a glimpse of how an operations person thinks, okay. So this is from the operations side. Because it's also good that we invited Nelson to also answer the question. Kasi usually may clash ang operations tsaka HR eh. So it's better that they hear it from an operations person so that they understand also the motivations of a line manager, the operations manager, etc. So operations people, they just want uh, manpower to be available to do, of course, the gamut of operations that's needed. Okay, so para hindi ma-disrupt yung operations. Okay, so that's why there's a clash because sometimes admin or HR introduces certain interventions. So nagugulo yung mga employees. Okay. So what Nelson is saying is it's not about the financial or the income. Okay. Yung money that makes people stay is about the psychic income or the other intangibles. Okay. Like camaraderie, Mm. How about the company culture, yung mga ganon. So I think that will play a huge role. And then what to do with it, your program. So that's what you think about because I know that you guys are into meetings right now. Okay. So you map it out into a program. Yun. So and anyway, si Nelson kasi actually I admire Nelson kasi ano parang he's like the epitome of somebody who's resilient. Okay, so what can you say about career resiliency? How can you have career resiliency?
If I understand you correctly, resilience is like you can bounce back, you can adapt to any situation.
Yes.
Okay. There are several ways to skin that cat. Number one is you must have a lot of skills so that you can be very flexible. Okay, that's one. And what people recommend is that I learned this from somebody is that you may want to master a hard skill before you master a soft skill because sometimes the hard skill is the one that is more tangible, more quantifiable, and therefore has a certain salary involved. And also, if you're starting from a lower rank, it's like technical first, then you go to the people skill. Regarding resiliency, also, it helps to have a lot of networks because then you'll never know that, let's say, if you lose your job today, but because people know you, and you may also want to volunteer in, let's say, Toastmasters or your church or whatever, so that people can see you in action. And then they actually say, Nelson, why don't you work for me? That's one. Last but not least, like this, I think when it comes to career resiliency, depends on your personal resiliency, wherein you have to have this mindset, the positive point of view. You'll be able to embrace challenges. You are going to keep your morale up, even though the world looks dark. And I think the best way to do that is to go self-care. One of the best ways to have resiliency is to have a good night's sleep. Because imagine if you cannot be healthy, you don't eat a healthy diet, you don't exercise, you're groggy, you're grouchy, boy, doing a great job is the last thing you want to do. So I think there are several factors. To be resilient, have your repertoire skills. Number two is have a wide network. And third, take good care of yourself.
Wow. So yes, okay. Always take good care of yourself. Okay. So I'll ask Nelson. Okay. So how do you relax?
Oh, that's a nice thing. It will be nice to have my wife over here talk to me. Have relax. I really I really relax by creating something. So yeah, I write or sometimes I read. And it doesn't have to be something heavy. Like I've never read War and Peace, but guilty pleasure is that I love to read comic books, graphic novels. Give me a good DC comic, I'll be happy. So yeah, I will relax by, let's say, watching a good movie with my wife or I read a comic book. I will unwind. The thing that we have to remember is that sometimes we have to set boundaries upon ourselves. I think this is like what we talk about that because of the globalization thing, the technology, it's like you're working 24/7. But at one point, you have to say, shut down, I have to really say, okay, this is time now where I have to unwind. I let my mind now do something else or just, relax. And that's why I think it's going to be a good recharging exercise.
So keep a schedule and then stick to the schedule. And if possible, if you are tuned into social media, you can have like a tune out time for social media as well. How about you, Bench? How are you? How do you relax? Because you also have a busy schedule.
Yeah, indeed. And it just gets busier. How I relax by uh, I'm a Lego collector,
Mm.
and I try to build something, anything, and then if not that, um, I I watch this series, The Crown in Netflix. Lately, I like watching documentaries, historical documentaries like church history, World War II history, medieval history. Uh, so I read about those, and also physical relaxation. This is a must. I walk, uh, and sometimes when I walk around the neighborhood. Basta alam kong safe. I carry with me a rosary and then I pray. Uh, it's meditating and also a chance to distance myself from the hustle and bustle, and that a chance to remind myself that not well, we are not our careers. So a good distance, a healthy distance would be okay. Walk, pray. What I won't do is to pray and bike because I have to keep my eyes and my ears on the road. Baka ma-aksidente.
Yeah.
And self-care. Yeah, sleep is tama. We can be rich in our careers, and our careers can make us rich. But if you don't have your health, you lose sleep. Uh, and it's the beginning of crash and burning. So you make time for sleep. Ang sabi nga raw nila, protect your sleep.
Mm.
Sometimes it can be helped na kailangan magpuyat. But um, for most of the time talaga, you have to protect your sleep and also have um, physical time, physical activity because the work of an online teacher nowadays is a lot of sitting down and it's unhealthy. Control your eating. Don't indulge. So, ang sabi ko nga, if we meditate more, pray more, o kaya we work out more, when we get a chance to, we displace the time that is there for indulgence, wrong indulgences, overworking, overthinking. So, displace those with uh, meditation, prayer, physical activity, and you've got nothing better to do. Just turn off that social media, matulog ka na. Yun.
Tama yun.
Thank you, sir.
So now, so I'm sure you've like seen what's being posted on social media. So how can people use social media to their advantage and be more marketable?
First of all, you have to choose what social media is effective for you. For example, the purpose of Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitter and IG and all those Snapchat are different. So you have to be more strategic which social media will meet your objective. And so, what are your objectives? So, if you're going to be like, how will this further my career? And of course, probably the hands down would be LinkedIn. So, therefore, you want to choose to, let's say, master LinkedIn, make your presence known. I think there's another podcast meant for that one. If
Hmm?
let's say you're talking about having a personal brand wherein you show people who you are, not always the work mode for Nelson D. That's where perhaps then, so Facebook, for example, and then you have to be very intentional what you're going to put on Facebook or even let's say LinkedIn. It's not like always the cat or let's say the coffee cup. Has to be something of yeah, right. There are so many of that. So you now have to be quite strategic. What would I want to be perceived as in Facebook? And then you put the content according. It may be something inspirational, if you want to be seen as a thought leader, or something like very in bold, you have to picture you, humble brag, about you helping other people in CSR. And in LinkedIn, for example, you engage, you also give out advice. For example, in our spheres, for example, professor and you, there's a lot of wisdom you can share. And therefore, you can have, let's say, 2 posts a day. I'm sorry, 2 posts a week. So, Brenda, 2 posts a day. Two
Tip
posts a
out of
week
it.
where you give bite sized advice for people. And believe me, in LinkedIn, and I think these were also fresh graduates or even undergrads, they're now seeing the power of LinkedIn and they are now into LinkedIn and they're hungry for connections. And it'll be fantastic if one of them discovers you and they'll follow you and they'll be following your advice. And let's say professor, for example, professor, he'll be able to guide people beyond his classrooms and what an impact will have for the world.
So yeah, so that's how to use social media effectively. Okay, and for a chapter on that, I think in Soaring High, there's a discussion on ranting on social media by Nelson. Okay, so anyway, so okay, so time flew. Okay, and then this was such a wonderful discussion. Nelson, what should we look forward from you from here on?
Oh, thank you for asking that. When it comes to workshops, I can do a workshop about purpose because I think that's more strategic. We can always do a workshop about career planning, career strategy, but I think on a more fundamental basis would be questions like who are you? What do you want in life? What do you value in life? And therefore, that also goes into what kind of relationships you like to have. The other one would be, oh, by the way, for workshops, if there are people who are interested, I welcome them to organize and invite me. The other one would be, like as I said, I have a book coming in wherein I co-author with the millennial. Watch out for it. It's by Anvil. Anvil is like the publishing arm of National Bookstore. Watch out for it. The other thing is, meantime,
Mm-hmm.
I put in those 2 posts a week for LinkedIn, at least, wherein I share my thoughts about, let's say, inspirational, motivation, problem solving, the things which I learned in my past 30 years, wherein can help people in their next 30 years. And I have a website where it talks about more about life, and people are welcome to ask me any question. Just like, for example, the professor is uh, is welcoming people to ask him questions. I also welcome questions, and it can be anything under the sun, and I'll respond as best as I can. There's a LinkedIn profile here, and I have my website, nelsontv.com. And please, if you want a more direct approach, my Gmail is nelsontd.com@gmail.com. So I look forward to hearing from you. This is not the end of the conversation, and I thank the professor. It's a pleasure meeting you, sir, and then also Chris and
Likewise.
also Ken. And then let's hope that
Likewise,
I will
likewise.
also be able to give more value to your audience.
Okay, so if you want to get in touch with Nelson, okay, so you can get in touch with him in LinkedIn. And then he actually gave out his Gmail address. Okay, so nelsonpd.com@gmail.com.
That's right.
Okay, so how about you, Ken? Okay, so what is there do you have any projects or
Yeah.
webinars?
As of now, we're still ongoing. It's still ongoing. The hypnotic communication masterclass is still ongoing right now. Upcoming, if you're interested to learn more about neurolinguistic programming, you want to become NLP practitioner, let me know. Just message me up because starting March, yeah, that would be for 16 sessions for the NLP certification program. Yeah. Okay. That's all.
So, and then you had Hypnocom, I suppose.
Yeah, Hypnocom is ongoing right now. We're at session
Oh,
number 2. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
yes. Okay. So that started already at
Mm-hmm.
this,
Yeah.
session number 2 today. How about Bench? Okay. So how are you? What are you have a webinar or anything?
As of this time, none. We'll be opening our first semester for the bachelor courses in St. Paul University, Quezon City this February 8th. It's on Monday. The graduate school has already opened today. So for those who wish to enroll in uh, bachelor's and master's degree courses that have majors in HRD, kindly contact St. Paul University, Quezon City, the Center for Admission and Linkages. And for those who want to take up IT, because hindi pa nila alam if they are for business or for administrative jobs, I'll be teaching project management this second semester, and also the practicum of the IT. So yeah, I find myself in that position na naman na I'll be preparing students to take their jobs head on, and to blaze the trail for themselves. My kind of my kind of subject.
Okay, thank you, Benj. And then to those who are wondering, okay, so we are able to, so these books that we are giving out on our F Live, okay, this was made possible by donors. Okay, so actually they requested to remain anonymous. So thank you. Okay, actually, when I celebrated my birthday, I thought of, well, highlighting Filipino authors. So it's a way of supporting local talent. So we were able to attract some donors to this project, and hopefully we're able to sustain this up to June. And if you would want to donate, you can get in touch with me. Okay, and then we'll talk about it. So there. And then second, okay, so to wish uh those who wish to go abroad and they would want to be coached for their IELTS and the Pearson test of English. Okay, so you can get in touch with me as well. And also for your business English workshops. So I'm just like actually a message away on Facebook. I'm always on Facebook. So Nelson, would you want to add anything?
I think this is like every day is always a good time to prosper in your career. It's like it's a matter of mindset. It's easier said than I know, but if you think you cannot, guess what? You cannot. But if you think you can, then the sky's the limit. So I think the final message I have for people in your audience is that don't be afraid. Keep trusting God. Things may look dark, but if you have God as a center of your career and He knows the situation more than you do and He cares for you, He'll always provide. You do your best and God will do the rest.
Yes.
Yes, I believe so. Okay. So, and I think that, guys, okay. So just keep sending your feedback and then tell us what you want us to research on and discuss on HR Shouts and Whispers. We're just here. And if we have nothing else to say, okay, we can just call it a night and then we can go to dinner. And then thank you, Nelson. Okay. It's such an honor. Actually, we do appreciate you saying yes to our invitation.
And thank you for inviting me. The honor is all mine.
Okay, so guys, okay, so let's call it a night. Bye bye for now.
Bye bye. God bless
And
you
then
all.
to our
Thank
viewers, bye bye.
Bye bye. God bless.
Thank you.
Thank you. Nice meeting you, Ken and Benj.
Yes, nice meeting you too, sir.
Yeah, let's collaborate one day.
In
Okay.
LinkedIn.
Yeah, yeah.
All
I'll
right.
find you on Facebook.
Okay.
Okay, you can always find us on LinkedIn, Facebook, etc.
Yeah.
Okay, bye bye.
Bye bye.